Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at a monster game that I had in the Minekaze, the Tier 5 Japanese destroyer. I'm playing by myself on the EU server, and it's some standard battle here on the map Ring. So on Monday, I featured some Omaha gameplay. As you guys know, I have been grinding down quite a few lines on my EU account, American cruisers and battleships, Japanese destroyers, Russian battleships as of a couple days ago, and I had this really awesome Minekaze game that I want to share with you guys, so definitely enjoyed this one. This kind of goes back to the good old days of World of Warships, back when there was only Japanese and American ship lines, and the Minekaze was top dog at Tier 5. Now, it's still a pretty good destroyer, at least when there's no carriers in the game, but it's still a pretty potent destroyer, and this gameplay that you're going to see is going to showcase exactly that. Now, obviously the matchmaking is very friendly to me. There's 4 battleships, 3 cruisers, and 5 destroyers. Excuse me. So, a few more DDs than I'd like, but overall, it's good matchmaking, and it's on a map that I really do enjoy. This is one of my favorite low-tier maps, probably number 2 behind Solomon Islands. I just really enjoy the sightlines that you get, but also if you come down to the southern or the northwestern part of the map, there's a lot of open water. And Japanese destroyers are still pretty darn efficient at scouting for the friendly team and at employing their torpedo salvos. Now, of course, in general, Japanese DDs, they have great maneuverability, great speed, great stealth, and what they lack in AA and gun power, they make up for to a degree with their torpedoes. Now, disregarding the surface detection range of the Japanese torpedoes, they're generally at the best of their tier, or at the highest, or somewhere near to the top, I should say, in terms of speed, damage, range, all of those most important factors with torpedoes. So you can still get a lot done with this ship. I do not have a full 19-point captain in this guy, so this is going to be a little bit more realistic for those of you guys out there that don't have a whole bunch of 19-point captains sitting around like I do on my NA account. I do obviously want to prioritize concealment on this guy to get down to 5.4 kilometer surface detection, which is sizzling for a Tier 5 ship. So you do have a very quick torpedo reload, about 37 seconds before you factor in something like Adrenaline Rush, which you really don't need, but this thing just reloads very quickly. 57 knots of speed is a little on the low side for Tier 5, but it's still okay. You also have 7 kilometers of range, which is pretty good, so you have a nice 1.6 kilometer gap between your torpedo's maximum range and your surface detection, so obviously stealth torping is the way to go in the ship. I have some dual-purpose torps going down range at the Karlsruhe and at the Isukazi. Maybe both of them will eat a torp, we'll see here. The torps in the middle look a little behind for the German cruiser, but the torps on the left look very good for the Japanese destroyer. The torpedo flies in, absolutely perfect centerline hit. First blood dev strike on that Tier 4 Japanese DD, and we've picked up the first frag of the game. So right there, in a nutshell, the Japanese torpedoes are some of the best single torpedoes in the game. Just based off of damage alone, these things hit very, very hard, and yeah, destroyers at this tier, they really don't have a lot of hit points to be able to give when they do take torpedo hits. You have to be very unlucky to hit a torpedo on a destroyer at this tier and not outright kill it with one shot, because a lot of the DDs at Tier 4 and 5, even 6, they really don't have much more than 13,000 hit points on some of the higher end models. So this ship is definitely very, very deadly in a close range fight. Now, I do come around the corner on the Karlsruhe, 4.6 kilometers, but I'm easily going to be able to get back into stealth here in just a few seconds. And what I'm trying to do right now is spot for my team. You can see that my northern group has kind of wrapped around the the northwestern part of the map. So I'm getting good spotting on these guys, but unfortunately, at the moment, the enemy team is kind of balled up. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing on the higher tier maps, on the lower tier maps where, you know, the ranges are not as big, when you do ball up, it can be a little difficult to crack just because there's so many ships there. So at this point, I don't want to push in any deeper. That's just a hornet's nest waiting for me to get detected. So of course, I'm getting ready to drop my next set of torpedoes here. The Kirov is getting a little closer than I'd like, and of course that Soviet cruiser does have a lot of speed, so I do want to turn back around here. Excuse me. Oh man, I'm a little sick right now, so it's probably why the voice is a little off. So, yeah, the Kirov has a lot of speed, so I do not want to get too close to that guy. However, all of a sudden, things have taken a vicious turn for the worse. You can see that my friendly Isakaze that's over in F7 is very dangerously close to that Nicholas's last reported position. But there's also the Mitsuki and the Clemson coming in over as well. So that guy is not long for this world. I do get one torped on the stern of the Kirov. Unfortunately, the stern does not have that many hit points to give up, so I don't do too much damage. But at this point, I actually wasn't paying that much attention to those destroyers that are getting ready to kill off my friendly Isakaze. I'm still more worried about getting spots over here, and it was only about now that I realized that, oh crap, my friendly Isakaze is in trouble, and also that Nicholas is making a beeline, as you can see, right for my friend in the New York. So I'm going to get one more torpedo salvo off on the enemy Koenig, and now I'm going to get my guns turned around to my port side. And of course, since it's a Japanese destroyer, the turret traverse is absolutely awful, so you really do need to plan these things well out in advance before you get caught flat-footed with some turrets pointing in all different directions. I do have a smoke screen ready to go, which is very important, and my torpedoes will be reloaded in about 12 seconds, but this destroyer is going to be coming around the corner any minute now, and there we go. He gets detected at 6.1 kilometers. Things are not looking good. I do have to turn a little bit to the right to get all my guns ready to go, but now I'm going to pop my smoke screen and pop in and out of detection every couple of seconds. I'm also dropping my torpedoes to the left, hoping that he turns to his right to try and get all of his guns to bear on me. And I'm assuming that because he's going to want to turn to his starboard side and get all the gunpowder going in on me. I do get a pretty decent salvo on the first shot at him, did about 2,400 points of damage, but I was able to bait him into my torpedoes as I pick up my second dev strike of the game on an enemy destroyer, and that kill is oh so important because now, even though my friend in the New York is continuing on his merrily way, I still really didn't lose that many hit points in that engagement, but I still need to get back to the cap up north, as I'm sure the Clemson and the Mitsuki will be moving in on the capture zone, but crisis averted. It's a very good thing that I was able to get the kill on that Nicholas because if I did not hit torpedoes on him, I was not confident that the New York was going to be able to support me, and that would have been a very dangerous engagement for me to try to continue, and I'm not 100% sure if I would have been able to do that because, all in all, a Nicholas will heavily outclass a Minekaze in a gunboat battle. Now you can see that the enemy Mitsuki is trying to sneak around our team. He's in Echo 5, as he does get detected, I believe, by the friendly Karlsruhe up there. And now that's some very important information, as the enemy Clemson has popped onto our cap. Well, I don't know it's the Clemson, but chances are it's exactly him. So now that I know where actually all three of the enemy destroyers are, I can now plan my moves accordingly. And last reported positions for Japanese destroyers are incredibly important. You really need to get good at guessing where the enemy team is going to be, specifically the enemy destroyers, because again, you do not want to get caught into a gunboat battle with really anything else. You can also see that the cooldown time on your smoke screen is kind of long as well. It's just slightly over 2 minutes, so when you do have to pop that smoke screen, you better be popping it for a very good reason, or you can potentially be caught in a very bad situation with no place to hide. So you got to be very careful with that. However, the Clemson is shooting, and I do detect him at 8.1 kilometers, and I'm actually sneaking up on his stern. I don't know if he has any idea that I'm here, but chances are he's probably not worried about what's to his rear. He's probably just thinking to himself, oh, my friends are back there. They'll come and help support me. So I'm going to try to move into position on this guy, on William, and get a salvo off when he's not able to reply to me. I get my first shots going down range. The salvo looks pretty good as he does smoke up. I do 1,100 points of damage, and as I do go undetected because his smoke screen covers him up, I put him down to about a little less than 5,000 hit points. So I do have a almost double the amount of hit points lead, but obviously I want to try to dispatch this guy with my torpedoes. Now you can see that the smoke screen moved a little bit to the left. That means he was backing up ever so more, so I'm going to drop 3 wide sets of torpedoes into the smoke screen. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, Sneaky Snake, why are you using widespread? That smoke screen is not that large, and because you only get 2 torpedoes per torpedo tube launcher, you want to try to spread them out a little bit more, at least in my opinion, when the smoke screen is not that big. I only need 1 torpedo to land home, so there's no point in me launching 2 torps that are very close to each other when I can try to finger them all out and maybe increase my chances of hitting the guy that's in there. And also my torpedoes are ready to go again because like I said, 37-second reload. This thing spits out torpedoes very, very quickly, and so do the premium versions if you have them with the Fujin and the Kamikaze. So my next torpedo salvo going in, I decided to go against my own advice and drop some narrow spreads, at least for the first two in there. I felt really confident that maybe he was still aligned on a north to south axis, and this torpedo angle is very good, and that's exactly where I'm able to catch him, as one torpedo slam-homed into the Clemson as I pick up my third destroyer killed with torpedoes in this game. I know it's the low tier. I know there's a lot more inexperienced players here, but the point still remains. These torpedoes are more or less a guaranteed kill if you manage to hit an enemy destroyer in any vital spot, not at the very tip of the stern or the tip of the bow. Now at this point, with the Kirov down to 10,000 hit points, he is my next target that I'd really like to go at. And I do have to kill him kind of quick. I am working on a little bit of a time constraint. You can see that this Congo is only 4 kilometers away, and he is going to be coming up through the channel. So obviously I want to go in and try to get a close-range torpedo salvo on this guy. But I do need to hit a torpedo on that Kirov because, of course, he's going to get on the cap. And if he does get on the cap, like I've said before, it's a very fast Soviet cruiser. He's only 6.3 kilometers away. But very fortunately for me, I do manage to get that torpedo on target. And this is something that every single Japanese destroyer player should do. When you see targets on low health, you need to use your guns. Who cares that the reload is slow? If your aim is true, you can get a lot of penetrations, especially at this tier where most of the cruisers don't have much more armor than the destroyers do anyway. So you are going to get penetration damage on them. And now that I'm within the 2-kilometer detection of the Congo, I can now safely go around the corner while he is distracted by my friend in the French cruiser and nuke this guy at point-blank range. But yes, I cannot stress how important it is whenever there's a target that's low on health, use your guns. Just please use your guns. There's no reason to not do it. You can get your kill. And I also nuked the Congo right there with that torpedo salvo as I pick up the Kraken Unleashed and my third dev strike of the game. So we're up to a very healthy 78,900 points of damage, and things are looking on the up and up. We do have a 4-ship to 3-ship lead, and we do have the lead in the point total as well, because we do have a friendly October Revolution that is on the enemy's cap. So things are looking good, and honestly, even if he dies, it doesn't really matter, because I'm still alive, and honestly, that's the only important thing. That Jai Wei, I didn't see how many hit points that he had earlier on in the game, but if he is not on a lot of HP, then this game is essentially secured because there's only 2 enemy ships other than him, and that guy is down to 2,500 hit points, and he's shooting in the open for some reason. I really don't know. Like I said, this is low tiers, so at the end of the day, you're going to see some pretty weird shit. But I am looking for a torpedo salvo here on this Koenig. Now, something very important here. I'm assuming that this guy, like a normal player, is going to want to angle into the friendly October Revolution in the cap. So that's why I decided to launch my torpedoes a little bit to the right of my gray line indicator. Assuming, again, that he's going to want to angle to the battleship, because that's what normal people do. He doesn't take too much damage from that last salvo. He's still on a decent course. He really needs to turn hard to the left right now. And for some reason, he does not. Now, just because this ends up working out in his favor does not mean that this is the best play to make. I really do not know why this guy did not want to angle to that October Revolution. Unfortunately, none of my torpedoes do manage to land on target, and what I really need to do is launch my torpedoes right now before he gets around the corner of the island. I now hesitate a little bit, and I drop my torpedoes a couple seconds later than they were reloaded. And this is actually going to come back to bite me in the butt, unfortunately, as one of his blind salvos manages to find 1 over penetration on me. The torpedo on the far left does hit the island, unfortunately, and this Koenig will be able to speed up and just barely get out of the way of my torpedoes. So, using the damage control on one fire, not angling to the friendly October Revolution, just some bad play right there. I'm not saying this because I'm salty that I didn't kill him, but yeah, don't do that, guys. Just don't do that. The Jai Wei gets detected again somehow. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take advantage of it because, like I've already said a couple times, these guns are great at kill securing, and I do pick up my 6th frag of the game as I switch my focus here to Giuseppe Sepe in the other Koenig. Maybe I can get another cheeky kill secure on this guy as well. He is burning on the superstructure, so this next salvo needs to kill him, but then he does get the heal off, so it doesn't matter how much damage this salvo does. I'm not going to be able to get the kill before somebody else manages to secure it, and that's exactly what happens. So now there's only one enemy ship left, and we're going to go try to hunt him down and get some torpedoes. So what have you seen in this game, guys? Pretty simple stuff, right? Going out, spotting, using your excellent speed, maneuverability, concealment to put yourself in great positions to launch torpedo salvo after torpedo salvo after torpedo salvo. And certainly 10 hits is nothing world-beating, but I put myself in great places throughout the course of the game. I never got into a direct one-on-one gunfight with an enemy destroyer. I always tried to make it that either I was coming at a weird angle, or I was able to utilize my torpedoes, or I had my smoke screen ready. All of those different factors resulted in me not even losing more than 5,000 hit points in this game. With 5 enemy destroyers on the loose, I see it all the time. Japanese destroyer players either play way too timidly and they try to backline torpedo, staying at the max range of the torpedoes, or they just go flying in like all the other dummies and get killed at the start of the game. So, yeah, it's not that difficult. Torpedoes are your bread and butter, but don't be afraid to use your guns. I cannot stress how important that is. Now, I am shadowing this Koenig, and I tried to get into this island cover before I reached my concealment threshold. Unfortunately, I do not manage to do that, so he does detect me for a few seconds before he goes behind the island, so obviously he knows that I'm coming, and it's going to make this torpedo salvo a little bit more difficult to pull off. There we go. So, I'm going to go beach myself on this island here. Hopefully he's going to turn a little bit to his right, because once again, he's flashing full broadside to the friendly Koenig that is inside the cap. So obviously, I'm going to launch a couple torpedoes a little bit to the right of the gray indicator, assuming that he's going to angle like a normal person, and he doesn't. So, is this my fault? Well, unfortunately, yes. How's the old saying go? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, I should have anticipated that because he was playing quite irrationally, but it doesn't really matter. Because again, look at the torpedo reload. You got 10 more seconds left on these bad boys. It's not really that big of a deal. And I'm also utilizing my gun power as well. Even though the reload does kind of suck, that's okay. Aiming up into the superstructure of German battleships. It doesn't matter the tier. You will get a lot of good, solid, high explosive damage if you manage to do that. My next torpedoes are going down range, but obviously he's burning. I'm still going to continue to fire at this guy and try to chip away at his superstructure. I do pick up the Confederate on about 91,000 points of damage, which is pretty okay. But hopefully we're going to be able to get frag number 7 here on this guy. He's down to 7,900 points of damage and burning. Right there, all 4 shells hit the superstructure, 1,000 damage. That is some pretty good stuff. And this is a perfect situation when you can just completely farm a battleship and you don't have to worry about much of anything. I do poke out on my smoke screen to try to bait him into shooting me, and that's exactly what happens. And now I'm going to move back inside of it, and he will be detected for about another 15 seconds. He's burning still at 1,000 hit points. The next salvo is going down range. The shells land in the superstructure. I pick up the high caliber, and that ends the game. Alrighty guys, taking a look at the post-battle results, 524,000 credits received and 12,000 total experience earned. This was my first win of the day. I picked up Confederate, Triple Dev Strike, First Blood, Kraken Unleashed, and High Caliber, dealing 97,000 points of damage off of 50 shell hits and 10 torpedoes. I sank 7 enemy ships and had 5 fires, as well as 3 ships detected. Taking a look at the team score, 1,809 base XP, far and away the best on my team, and I almost came close to doubling the players that were in the 2, 3, and 4 spots. So clearly I had plenty of influence on this game, and things were doing good. And I also managed to kill that Nicholas, who at that point in the game had already had 3 kills and was well on his way to having a pretty good result. So it was nice to be able to get that frag. That was really the turning point of this game when I felt that I was going to be able to win, and it ended up with a really solid result. 13,000 damage dealt with the main battery. Again, anything that you can get is fine. Another 12,000 damage with the fires and the floodings, and 71,000. Certainly the bulk of the damage was dealt with the torpedoes. So, really good textbook Minekaze gameplay. This is the kind of stuff that if you're able to do on a consistent basis, then you're playing Japanese destroyers right, and you will be good as you grind up to the higher tiers. So with that being said, this is the Sneaky Snake for BIA World of Warships signing off. Sorry that I'm sick. I hope this commentary wasn't too bad. The nose is just really stuffed up right now. So, guys, have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for checking out the video.